was spread across multiple pillars of the economy. And this is where you kind of want to be a little bit worried about a GDP print, is when it seems to be pretty indiscriminate in the sectors that it's negatively impact. So all in all, from my perspective, this would mean that Q3 basically barely came in positive on a nominal GDP, 0.1% quarter over quarter growth, which would mean that on an annual level, we're growing at less than 0.5%. And this keeps Canada right on the edge of stagnation and recession. And especially with inflation being stickier than the Bank of Canada would want, I think that they're really playing with fire right now to try to avoid a stagflationary situation, which would have a really bad impact on Canada's economy. And again, I know a lot of people in my comments have said, oh, we've been in recession for 3 years because of GDP per capita and whatever. Totally correct. Totally agree with you. But that's not the technical definition of a recession. And the technical definition of a recession really matters from my perspective, because it's not until we are in a technical recession and the media stops saying that we might be able to avoid a recession, and the headlines are now saying we're in a recession, that has a huge impact on consumer sentiment, a negative impact on consumer sentiment. And that to me is why the technical recession badge really matters to the fate of what happens next in Canada's economy. If we can avoid a recession, they might actually be able to keep your consumer sentiment propped up a little bit and, keep people thinking that everything's fine. If we can't avoid that, that's where the problems start from my perspective. And that's what I'm concerned about, because I do think that we're going to see a technical recession once we have Q3 data. I could be wrong. I'm wrong a lot, but that's my guess. And that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting from what's happening right now with data and the weak September that I saw in my part of the economy, but in most parts of the economy. Do you think we will hit a technical recession in Canada's economy, which means Q1, Q2, we already had negative GDP growth? Do you think we'll get that second quarter of negative GDP growth in Q3, giving us a technical recession?